Today, we're going to be looking at all the different ways that you can start brainstorming with ChatGPT. Now, keep in mind, this will just be a very small example of the different types of prompts that you can give it. When I say prompt, I use that term loosely today because, again, you don't have to be a prompting expert. Yes, the better you are with your prompts, the better your results will be, the less back and forth you'll need to refine those. But you can start with just a general conversation. Hey, I want to write such and such genre or a story about such and go back and forth with chat that way. If you can think of it, basically, you can give it to ChatGPT and start brainstorming a story. Let's look at some different types of prompts that you can use. In this one, you are a best-selling author and whimsical thinker who offers fantastical and imaginative concepts and diverse story ideas. Assist the user in brainstorming unique genre, whatever genre you want, you would put it here. Story concepts based on any ideas you have, you would put it right here. And then I love this little one. So you can actually blend some different genres or ideas that you have, mix and match. The next one is a little bit more straightforward. Let's plan a whatever genre you want series with whatever specific elements you want, if anything. And then you're going further and saying each book should focus on, again, if you have any specifics for each book. And then give me plot ideas for the books as well as character bios. Be specific and avoid vague, generic storylines. I do love this line. Pseudowrite users, I also use this a lot in Pseudowrite, especially when I'm generating a synopsis or outline. I will even go a step further and tell it you have permission to be creative and add your own ideas to avoid vagueness. We're going to look at what these two prompts right here gave us. You're a best-selling author, whimsical thinker. Assist the user in brainstorming unique fantasy story concepts based on fae versus human versus creatures of the wild. Blend elements of enemies to lovers and dark romantasy. And it gave us a couple of choices here. I'll just scroll down a little so you can read them. Human hunter banished from her tribe for fraternizing with fae. Crumbling fae court hidden in the ruins of a mortal kingdom where wild creatures thrive on the bones of war. So we have a half-human fae warrior. And then, world ruled by the wild court, creatures neither fae nor mortal, bound to no laws but hunger. So there you go. I like this little tagline right here. Dying magical forest ruled by the fae with humans encroaching, and a shadowy group of wild creatures. Creatures leading a rebellion. Interesting. So 4 ideas from that little prompt. And if you go back, you see we didn't actually tell it how many ideas to give. So you can also do that to be more specific. Let's look at our other one. Let's plan a thriller series with dystopian post-apocalyptic vibes. Each book should focus on our main characters navigating the new world in its various groups and settings. Give me plot ideas as well as character bios. Be specific and avoid vague storylines. And it gives us our little series overview. We have Cassian Voss, reluctant survivor, former corporate mercenary. And each book will focus on a unique part of the world, escalating stakes and moral dilemmas. It gives us our little bios. We have our main protagonist here, Cassian, a love interest, and the antagonist. As always, go back and forth with chat. Let it know what you like, what you don't like, or any different thoughts that you have, or how the series or the book should play out. We have a book-by-book outline. Takes place coastal metropolis. Sets the stage really nicely. We have the little meetup. And it keeps going and does the same for each of the books. So again, just that little prompt, a nice little start for you to see what you like and don't like. And the final book. and then gave us some extra characters right here. Right, so that is using just regular, simple prompts. You can get much more elaborate than this. I also showed a couple of series prompts based on if you like character-based or plot-based stories. That was in a previous video, so check that out. But besides prompts, you can also do story ideas, of course. For example, this came about from a Game of Thrones episode. That was actually the title of it. And I thought, wow, that would make a good series name, for each book to be titled that. I am betting it's already done, but hey, I still love the idea. Another one I had was an idea for a fantasy trilogy. But all I knew is I wanted the second book to end this way, besides it being enemies to lovers. So I can take these vague ideas into chat and it will help me expand on those. The Game of Thrones ones, for instance. I want to write a trilogy, but I don't know which genre I want to write in. And I told it, all I know is I want the title for each book to be one of these. And then I told it, using those 3 titles, give me story premises for fantasy, romance, and any other genre that would fit perfectly. I gave it my go-tos, the ones that I know I like to write in, but I also wanted to see what it would do, giving me something different. And the other genre ended up being a dystopian one, and I actually like it, I think, the best. Let's check them out real quick. So we have the fantasy right here. Unkillable sorceress, disgraced knight, failed rebellions, banished fate queen, usual characters. And we have our romance, which I didn't really care for at all. And then it gave us this stark dystopia. And it gave us AI as the antagonist, which I didn't really like. I told it I don't like the romance and dystopian ones. Make it dark mafia romance. And keep the dystopian vibe, but nix the AI overlord. So this one was a little bit better. And then this is the one that I ended up really liking. And what stood out to me was the factions. We have the Iron Wolves, the Fire Serpents. I believe there's another one somewhere in here. Those really stood out to me as being intricate plans and things that I could play around with and do some good world building. Might even just completely steal those, not use the story at all, but use those factions for something else. And then for the trilogy where I only knew how I wanted the second book to end, that's exactly what I told Chat. I want to write a fantasy trilogy, enemies to lovers, back to enemies, and back to lovers. And then all I know is the second book ends with her sending a letter saying, help us. And that letter kicks off the third. I asked it to help me develop the plot lines for each of these books. And I threw in my little favorite of be specific. You have permission to make up your own ideas to avoid vagueness. And it wasn't bad. Now, none of these I really fleshed out. I just wanted to give an example of what these can do for you. We have our good old Laura. First thing to do is change that name. And with fantasy, you typically have an artifact, relic. So that goes on. I did notice one of the things I didn't like. I think it was in 2. Yeah, so his mercenaries raided her kingdom. I wasn't really happy with that one. But again, I can start fleshing this out. Right? So you don't have to have an idea at all. You don't have to have a prompt. For example, I told it, I want to write a dark romance novel with the vibe of 9 Inch Nails Closer. And this one pretty much hit the nail on the head for what I was looking for. So think obsession, not love, carnal, raw, and completely unhinged. Grungy industrial backdrop. I'm loving the setting, the setup, at least for this, even if I don't like the story itself. And that's things I can do. Maybe I want to take those factions from that other one that I liked, drop it into this setting. take some characters from one of the other prompts or results and drop it into that story. It's fun to mix and match and see what you come up with. Just scrolling down so y'all can keep seeing. And then I went a step farther. So I gave it that same exact line, but then I told it what I thought it needed. I told it needs to be raw, primal, want the unhinged main male character, avoid moralizing because it loves to do that, want to make sure they have an HEA. And then since it is a dark romance, I wanted to make sure it didn't try to redeem or change anybody. Because it does like to do that. For instance, make the mafia guys leave the mob and become a cook or something. We have another Cassian. And then our female lead. So again, it's generalized, giving you that starter, and then you start fleshing the details out and taking it in the direction that you want it to go. Regular prompts are great. More intricate prompts are also great, such as the series prompts that I shared recently. Love those, especially that character-based one. Give it your ideas, even if those ideas aren't fleshed out, if it's just a very little bit, give them those. And then just also use some extra inspiration if it's a song, a TV show, a character, something along those lines. So those are some ways you can plot and brainstorm with ChatGPT. I hope this helped. Bye, everybody.